जब आप इस वीडियो को देख रहे होंगे तो या तो आपका प्रीलिम्स का रिजल्ट आने वाला होगा या आ चुका होगा, बट ईदर विच वेज यू विल गेट टू नो इन द नेक्स्ट 1 or 2 days whether you're writing mains or not. And essay writing is a very, very important part of your mains. I'm sure you know about that because essay carries a weightage of 250 marks. And you all know that scoring more in essay can, massively make your rank go up as well as down if you score bad in essay, and your rank can go up by leaps and bounds. Now, in this video, in the next 30 minutes, I have discussed these 5 important dimensions. Why essay matters? क्या important strategies हैं essay writing के लिए? कौन सी वो गलतियां हैं जो आपने नहीं करनी है while writing essay? एक example यहाँ पे दिया है कि कैसे एक student off topic जा सकता है अपने essay में. एक PYQ मैंने यहाँ पे डिस्कस करा है जहाँ पे ये दिखाया भी है कि कैसे आपने off topic content नहीं लिखना है. And then I have discussed 7 to 8 effective preparation tips and hacks for you all. So please enjoy the video, and also आपको बताना चाहता हूँ just in case if you're looking for a crash course for essay writing, sleepy classes पे हमने essay का crash course शुरू कर दिया है. So you're at the right time at the right place. Please do give us a call on the toll-free number to enroll and get started with your essay preparation for UPSC Mains 2025. Thank you so much. Enjoy the video. For some of us, essay writing can be a very good opportunity. And also for some of us, essay writing can be a very painful and devastating opportunity. It all depends on your perspective on essay. Now, there are many people who might say that I have excellent writing ability because hence proved that I scored good marks in English in 10th and 12th. But does that guarantee you getting good marks in essay for UPSC? Well, perhaps not. Somebody might say that, sir, essay writing is, too much of a hawa. क्या है इसमें? कुछ भी नहीं है, कुछ ऐसे लिखने हैं, प्रैक्टिस करना है. मैं अपने पेपर से हफ्ते 2 हफ्ते पहले कुछ ऐसे लिख लूंगा और आपसे इवैल्यूएट करवा लूंगा, आप देख लेना. Well, I mean, that's your call. But will that guarantee you that you will end up scoring good marks in essay? Perhaps not. Understand one thing, whether for all of us essay writing is a cakewalk or essay writing is a challenge, essay matters. And essay matters to each and every one. Why? Because this is a paper which is worth 250 marks out of your 1750 marks, which is around about 14%. And this can be a real game changer. Can be a real game changer depending upon how well you're equipped and how well you're prepared. Remember, over preparation and over equipment of anything can be very lethal and very bad. And while you have embarked upon your journey to prepare for Mains 2025, it is my responsibility and duty to share with you important insights in this introductory lecture that why essay matters, why do people end up scoring less marks, how do people deviate from the topic, and what all is required from all of you to study as far as content creation and content generation is concerned for essay writing. My name is KuuberSir and I welcome to you and I welcome all of you in this today's first lecture. Now, see, understand one thing, essay paper itself is very unique in the entire UPSC main syllabus. Because see, this is the only paper whereby you are being judged and evaluated upon your personality, upon your expression ability, upon your perspective, and upon your intellectual maturity. Whereas the other papers like the GS papers, the optional papers, there are different parameters to evaluate those exams, those papers. The essay is evaluated on an entirely different yardstick. And therefore, this also gives you the opportunity to really show your perspective and who you are as a person behind the curtains. Because see, हम डे टू डे लाइफ में किसी को मिलते हैं, so we end up realizing हाँ यार ये ज़्यादा बोलता है, ये कम बोलता है, ये शो ऑफ है, ये है, वो है. बट जब आप ऐसे लिख रहे हो, जब आप अपना कंटेंट लिख रहे हो, तो एग्जामिनर को नहीं पता कि आप कौन हो, कि आप कहीं ऐसे स्कूल से आए हैं जहां पे आपका बहुत अच्छा इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग स्किल था, आपके बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स आते थे, या आप किसी ऐसे स्कूल से आए हैं जहां पे आपकी इतनी इंग्लिश अच्छी नहीं थी और मे बी परहैप्स आपने 8th 9th 10th में जाके ही इंग्लिश पिकअप करी है. However, let's understand one thing. Your perspective, your personality, your viewpoint, how well balanced you are, how emotionally intelligent you are, इन सब चीज़ों का आइडिया एग्जामिनर को आपकी राइटिंग से ही हो सकता है. You will not have the luxury to go up to the examiner, meet him and tell him that, look sir, this is what I've written and this is the reason that why I've written this essay. You will not have that opportunity. Your essay has to do your working. Your essay has to be your advocate. Your essay has to represent you. Your strong essay will either make your case or break your case. Please remember these words. Make your case or break your case. What do you want? Do you want your case to be made or you would want your case to be broken up? That the choice lies in your hand. Now, essay writing paper will give you the opportunity to demonstrate a couple of things. Number one, that with full clarity and coherence of thought, you will definitely help yourself in terms of presenting your ideas very, very logically. Understand one thing, ideas cannot be random. You cannot have a random idea from one to the other. You will have to go with the flow. You will have to go with a very coherent flow. You can't say that all of a sudden I was writing on gender empowerment and all of a sudden while writing for gender empowerment, I thought that I should write something about Chandrayaan 3. If you're writing about Chandrayaan 3 or if you're writing about Mangalyaan, well, you have to also incorporate that if you're writing about them, what is the contribution of the females, of the women in that particular mission if you're writing an essay on gender empowerment. Just an example. Then depth of understanding. Understand one thing, you have to write 2 essays in 3 hours. Sufficient time. I don't think so anybody will fall short of time. And therefore these 3 hours will also give you ample enough of time that आप अपनी depth of understanding को भी demonstrate कर सकते हैं. And of course, you will have diverse topics. You will have topics from the field of philosophy, to the field of governance, to the field of society, to the field of technology. That is your choice. And of course, I will take another live session on how to really choose an essay topic very wisely. I will take a live session on that as well. But understand one thing, 3 hours, sufficient time to help you to demonstrate your depth of understanding on that particular topic. You have sufficient time. Even if, you have to write 1 essay in 1.5 hours, sufficient time. Will not take much of a time. 1.5 hours is more than sufficient to write 1 essay, including many, many dimensions as well. When I say many dimension, it is not that it is a fixed formula that you have to write 8 dimensions or 9 dimensions or 10 dimensions. Those could be 4 to 5 dimensions, but very well presented. Very well presented and very logically presented as well. And communication skills. Now understand one thing, the UPSC is not expecting you to become Shashi Tharoor, or UPSC is not asking you to write Oxford or Cambridge level language. It's not expecting you to write very flowery language, not very rosy language. The UPSC is expecting you to write sufficient content which is impactful. Understand one thing, the content should have an impact. The content should be very substantial. The content might be for 700 or 800 words as well, but yet it is very effective and impactful. So remember, you need to ensure that your content is impactful. Now you're not there to communicate verbally. All right. So it is all non-verbal communication happening in the essay paper. And in the non-verbal communication, what matters is the content and also the intent behind the content. I have been saying this thing repetitively that content and intent, ये दोनों चीजें बहुत matter करती हैं. And the only opportunity to showcase the content and the intent behind the content is by making sure that your written content is very impactful. Let's also understand that this paper will give you an opportunity. This paper will give you an opportunity to score more than 150 marks. In my times, I have scored with the grace of God more than 140 marks 4 times in the essay paper. But I remember my friends, my colleagues also scoring 157 marks. So therefore, if that was possible back in the day, it is still possible today. Even now, people are scoring above 140, 145 marks. So therefore, understand one thing, a high score in the essay paper, 145, 150, that will give you significant leverage because there is a very limited capacity in terms of extension of marks in your GS papers. 400, 410, 420. However, the optional and the essay paper will give you a sufficient leverage that you can maximize your marks. So please understand, scoring, let's say 45 to 50 marks more than the average candidate will increase your rank leaps and bounds. Now understand the essay paper. The essay paper would require you to write 2 essays, right? Section A will have 4 topics. Section B will again have 4 topics. You have to choose 1 from section A, 1 from section B. And you will be given 3 hours of time to write. Now the topics, they might range. They might be philosophical. Happiness is not the means, happiness is the end, something like that. Happiness is not achieved by the conscious pursuit of happiness. Something like that. This topic came in 2023. So it can be very philosophical. Now that again depends upon your interpretation, that how you're interpreting. See, interpretation of philosophy can never be very one-dimensional. I can interpret something in a different way. You can interpret something in an entirely different way. That is the beauty of philosophy. That philosophy need not be accepted by each and every person alike. Your thought and your approach towards a philosophical thought can be entirely different than mine. However, understand one thing, your thought and your interpretation has to be logical. And now in order to back that logic of the theme of that philosophical topic, you will have to substantiate your content in also a very, very logical manner. And you have to make sure that your content, the examples which you're using to back the interpretation of the topic, is justified. And then contemporary issues, you might see essays ranging from themes like governance, technology, environment. These types of essays, they used to come back in the day, 2018, 2019. However, the last 2 years, we haven't seen very heavy philosophical essays. All right. So it's not that only philosophical essays will come. You will have, of course, abstract topic. You will have topics which are based on a certain theme. And that is your smartness, that how you're able to declutter that. And then abstract themes. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven or hell. The mind itself can be a palace, whereby in itself you can make that mind either heaven or either hell. Now this is a very abstract theme. This is a very abstract topic. Now what is the UPSC expecting? Is the UPSC expecting that you just end up giving the meaning of the philosophical topic and then the end, full stop? No. The UPSC is expecting and judging you on your emotional intelligence, that आप पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक का जो इंटरप्रिटेशन है उस इंटरप्रिटेशन को कैसे आप समझते हैं, लिखते हैं और उस इंटरप्रिटेशन को कैसे आप बैक करते हैं लॉजिक के साथ, कंटेंट के साथ एंड सब्सटैंशियल एग्जांपल्स के साथ इन अ मल्टी डायमेंशनल वे. Now important strategies for essay writing. Let's have a look over here. Now you can pick a topic of your own choice, whatever you find convenient. I will have a separate session, as I told you, that how you can choose a topic wisely. Now understand one thing, this is to each and everybody's discretion. You have a discretionary element in terms of choosing a topic. Now when I say discretion, let's say that I am finding a certain topic related to education easier to choose. You might find a certain topic related to artificial intelligence or deepfake to choose. Now that is your discretion. However, you have to back your discretion in a very logical manner. You will back your discretion in choosing a topic in which you are familiar. Unfamiliar philosophical topics and you end up choosing them, well, that will not give you marks. Also, you will also see that that topic which you are choosing is also aligning with the topic whereby you have read substantial content in your GS, which means that the topic which you are choosing, you will have sufficient content from your GS knowledge which you can incorporate in the essay. Now that GS knowledge might be ranging to ethical values, might be ranging to economic issues, might be ranging to food processing industries, might be ranging to historical perspectives. So therefore, let's understand one thing, the content. You see, understand one thing, I give you a gun AK-47, but that gun has no bullets inside. What will you do? Now you can definitely say that, sir, that the gun is very heavy, I can use that gun, I can, use that gun and hit somebody with that gun without having bullets inside that. But understand one thing, the gun, the AK-47 is not made कि आप उसको उठा के किसी को मारे जैसे डंडे से मारते हैं. That gun is made with a purpose that you see you have bullets inside that, you fire them, and that's how, you want to kill your enemy, hit your enemy, whatever it is. Now AK-47, it's a very lethal gun. Now AK-47 without bullets, what will be its relevance? I don't think so there'll be any relevance, except it could be a showpiece. That's it. So do you want to choose a topic whereby you end up putting very, very average content which is just like a showpiece? No. So therefore you need the bullets inside AK-47, which means that whatever topic you're choosing, what are the bullets for you? The bullets for you would be the fodder, the content fodder. Are you understanding? And the content fodder will definitely come from whatever you have read in your current affairs and in your GS knowledge. Now, if that knowledge which you have is aligning with the topic which you're choosing, job done. Clear? Structure your essay. Introduction, body, conclusion. No rocket science. You keep on hearing that from so many toppers, from so many teachers. Nothing different which I'm talking about. Please understand one thing, you have to begin your essay with a very enticing and with a very interesting quotation. You see, whenever you listen to a podcast, whenever you listen to a podcast, let's say that अभी विजय माल्या का podcast बहुत famous हुआ पड़ा है, राज शमानी के show पे आया था. In just a couple of days, it's garnered, 2-3, around about 2 crore views. I don't know when you watch this video तब तक कितने views आ जाते हैं. Now understand one thing, there has to be something substantial that video is garnering so many views. Now it also depends, it's not only dependent upon the guest. Maybe somebody calls Virat Kohli and somebody calls Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan. Maybe that podcast will not have that much views. But why does Vijay Mallya is having views? Of course, the personality, the person concerned is very, colorful and very interesting. That is one. However, there has to be a certain hook in the video that people will end up watching that video which is for 4 hours. Of course, the YouTube algorithm and the views mechanism that works in a very different way. But let's understand one thing. Even if the video is for 4 hours, people are still watching to that, people are still binge watching to that, means something is interesting inside that video. You end up watching a movie or you end up watching a web series, and 15 minutes into the web series or into the video, you're not, too much carried away by that. You don't want to sit for, the next 1 hour, 2 hours and, waste your money, waste your time, or, waste your internet connection to watch that web series. So therefore, understand one thing, if there is no hook, so why will you have an incentive to watch something? So the examiner reading your essay also needs a hook. Now, of course, when we talk about the hook in the essay, in the introduction, for example, let's say you're talking about a topic on women empowerment. Now, if in the introduction you mention a very interesting figure, a very interesting date, like as per the National Crime Record Bureau NCRB 2023, crimes against women rose by 4%, which means that there is an urgent and dire call for systematic change, which means that you have started your essay on a very strong note, that you have given a very strong data, you have given a very strong government data, not that this is data created by yourself. This is a strong government data which you're giving. So therefore, that is creating a lot of impact. Instead of beating around the bush and saying this, that, आप बिल्कुल एक nonsensical approach के साथ, you are meaning business, that you are, hitting the target where it should be hit, that you are actually creating an impact by really writing down what is more impactful, by what is required. And then of course, let's say that you're writing a topic on women empowerment. This is very hypothetical and a general example. The body, you will divide your essay into 4 to 5 sections, whereby you will cover different dimensions. Now, please understand one thing. While covering different dimensions, you will not end up writing social dimension, political dimension, economic dimension. You don't have to give subheadings like these. Please do not do that. Your dimension will itself sound like and appear like that you're giving a social perspective, you're giving a social dimension or a political dimension, etc. Try to use data. For example, GDP figures, government schemes, data from the economic survey, data from the PIB, data from different reports, schemes, government schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, whatever. I mean, if we're talking about gender empowerment. All right. If we're talking about digital India, then probably the Pradhan Mantri Disha Yojana. All right. And therefore, you also need to ensure that you're ending your essay in a very optimistic manner. You are not only summarizing the key points, please, that is just job half done, but you're also offering a very forward-looking perspective, or maybe you're giving a different anecdotal evidence in the conclusion, but that is aligning with the theme of the topic and also with the example or the anecdote you have given in the introduction. Now, when we talk about the content and the style of presenting your content, please make sure that you have a very fine balance. Please use simple language, clear-cut language. Please don't beat around the bush. Be very clear, be very precise. Again, I am telling you again and again that you have to be very impactful. Try to make sure that आपका content impact create कर रहा है. Try करो आप facts and figures को quote कर पा रहे हैं from the GS preparation, from economic surveys, from नीति आयोग reports. अगर आपने अपनी preparation करी है, आप already GS की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, sufficient access to current affairs content है आपके पास. Content is never a problem. Content is never a problem in essay writing. Please understand that thing. Content can never be a problem. Try to blend analytical depth. Try to blend analytical depth. जहां पे आपको लग रहा है कि problem कोई आ रही है. Why a problem exists? If you're trying to mention, let's say that you're talking, the theme of the topic is governance. You're talking about municipal waste. You're talking about municipal waste. you're talking about landfills and garbage. Try to use some example. For example, in the city where I come from, Chandigarh, there is this place called Daddu Majra, जहाँ पे this is large dumping ground जहाँ पे जो household waste होता है, municipal waste होता है, वो वहाँ पे dump किया जाता है. Now in every city there are some areas, there are some grounds, there are some spots whereby the municipal waste is dumped. Now try to mention about that, what all problem is coming to the people living in the vicinity. The problems coming, the diseases happening, the foul smell coming, and what are the various ways the municipal governments, the municipal administration is using to dispose of that waste, to dispose of that garbage. So therefore try to understand that why a problem exists, what is the solution, what is the solution you can suggest, and also what are the solutions which are coming from the government. So please understand one thing, it is not only the current affairs of India, Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Israel level which is going to help you, but also the municipal understanding, the municipal issues within your city. Try to understand whatever local bodies based governance issues are there, you should and you must incorporate that also in your essay. The idea is to impress the examiner. And you don't need to wear a very expensive perfume or a very expensive shirt. You're not going on a date. You are going to impress the examiner by your content and by the maturity of your content, because within your content also lies the depth. Please understand one thing, depth is very important in essay writing. Practice and feedback. Please make sure that you have written at least 10 to 12 essays before mains. In our crash course, of course, you will get the opportunity to write 8 essays and get them evaluated from me. However, if you want to write more essays, I never discourage a student that please don't send me essays. I will not evaluate your essays beyond this thing. You are free to send me as many essays as you want to get them evaluated. Please work on feedback. Just writing an essay is half of the job done, but try to get evaluation from the essays as well. Of course, in the paid courses, I am the sole point of contact for giving you the feedback. We don't hire outsourced content writers or outsourced evaluators, or we don't have an AI setup of giving a feedback. It is all very, very self-based parameters. So please make sure that you have written at least 10 to 12 essays before mains, and that is covering diverse themes. All right, time yourself so that you can manage your essay in 1.5 hours per essay. Ensure that you have around about minimum 15 minutes of brainstorming. This is very, very important. 15 minutes of brainstorming is very important. So 1.5 hour, 15 minutes brainstorming, 1 hour, 15 minutes is your time for the essay. And please don't tell me that, sir, I have a problem of content. You don't have a problem of content. You have sufficient content with you, sir. You have so much of GS knowledge with you. Aren't you studying for GS as well? Are you only going to give the essay paper? No, sir, you are also going to give the GS paper, GS 1 to 4. Ethics has a lot of overlap with essay in terms of presenting content. Then, of course, you have your optional paper as well. So please try to understand that you have to use and leverage the GS knowledge to the fullest. For example, if you're writing a topic on climate change, or if you're covering a dimension on climate change, then you have to cite India's 2070 net zero targets and whatever India's stand has been for climate change, whatever, in the conference of parties, India की जो viewpoint रहा है in terms of climate change mitigation and climate change targets. And of course, you can also give examples of the formation of the ISA. So you have to be very smart. You have to be very smart in terms of utilizing the current affairs, the contemporary affairs, and also the GS knowledge. Please avoid these mistakes. What are those mistakes? Number one, please don't go off topic. You have to stick to the core theme. I'll explain this with an example as well, how you can end up going off topic. I have some content with me which was there, with a student. एक student ने जो essay लिखा था, उसमें से content था जो आपके साथ मैं share करना चाहता हूँ, that how, people can go off topic. You don't have to go off topic. Please stick to the theme. Please stick to the theme. आपने कहीं जाना है, you are trying to go to a certain location, and why would you deviate from that location? If you want to go from A to B, why would you go to Z? You want to go to B, would you want to go to B directly from A to B, or you would want to go through Z? The choice is yours. Through Z, it's very complicated. If you're wanting to reach to B through point Z, that's very complicated. So please try not to deviate or drift away from, the core theme. Then please make sure that your essay has good structure. Lack of structure will obviously complicate your essay. So simple as that. You end up watching a movie, you don't know that, you know, movie mein kaun sa scene kaise aa raha hai, kahan pe aa raha hai. The direction is very pathetic. You know, the post production editing is very pathetic. You are not able to understand that how in the first frame a villain is coming, then in the second frame the hero is coming, and then in the third frame somebody else is coming. You don't know that the scenes in the you are thinking that the scenes in the movie, they are not very sequentially spaced. So that would create a lot of confusion. You won't end up watching that movie. You would find that movie very boring. So structure is very important. Also, when I talk about data and, you know, figures from the government websites, Niti Aayog, economic survey, all these things, please don't overload your essay with, you know, unnecessarily facts. And also, essay writing is not about writing facts. It is also about giving analysis of the facts. See, facts is something which is supporting your argument. Just writing factual information and assuming that, you know, that will do the job, that's a very wrong strategy. Facts is only supporting your arguments. You have to give analysis. And please don't be very careless in terms of time management. Please allocate time very evenly for both the essays. You have to make sure that within 3 hours, you have to write 2 essays. It is very much doable, very much possible. 2 essays in 3 hours, it's very, very much possible. You don't have the pressure that you have to write another exam after 3 hours. So therefore, please be very wise in terms of time management. Now, for example, let's refer to the topic. I want to show that what does offbeat means. You know, this particular example, going off topic, let me tell you. For example, this topic came in the essay paper of 2023. Thinking is like a game, underlying game. It does not begin until there is an opposite team. So what are the keywords over here? Game and opposite team. So therefore, thinking is like a game. So which means that, like in any other game, you have 2 players, you have 2 teams. India, Pakistan, India, New Zealand, India, Australia, or let's say on a table of chess, you have Gukesh and then, you know, Magnus Carlsen on the other hand. Any game will have 2 players or 2 teams. You can't have a game whereby you're the only person playing. You can't be batting and bowling and, you know, then saying that I've won the tournament, right? You can't be the only person playing chess with yourself, right? It will have no fun. If you end up playing chess with your own self, you can't say that who's the winner or who's the loser. And if you end up saying that I'm the only player and I'm the only chess master, then you're a narcissistic person. So therefore, let's understand one thing. The topic is talking about that thinking is like a game, which means that just in a game, there are opposing viewpoints, even in thinking. Even in thinking, whatever thought process you're thinking about, whatever thought process you've given, there will be opposing ideas. There would be opposing viewpoints. Let's say that, you know, America telling India that you phase out all the greenhouse gases by 2050. Well, the counter viewpoint which we are giving is that how can we do that? We are yet a developing country. We have developmental needs. And therefore, in the pursuit of development and industrialization, we will definitely end up emitting more greenhouse gases than the rest of the world. However, we obviously manage things very responsibly. So therefore, there is an ideological viewpoint. There is a thought, there is a counter thought. All right, there's a thought, there's a counter thought. Somebody tells us that, look, you know, Pakistan is disturbing you with terrorism. You don't retaliate because you are a land of peace. You are a land of Gandhi. How can we do that? You see, I mean, somebody disturbing us, somebody killing our people, innocent brothers and sisters. So therefore, we have to retaliate back. Now, some person might say that, no, we don't need to retaliate back. We should go for peace. Some people might say that, no, we need to retaliate back. So thought will have a counter thought. That is the whole crux of this topic. So therefore, without opposition, thinking is dormant. Your thinking will only groom and emerge more and more if there is opposition to your thinking. Only then a substantial outcome can be made. So that is the theme of the topic. How will you go off topic? An opposition team over here refer to, just a second, opposition team over here can refer to differing perspectives, contrasting opinions or ideologies which are challenging one's assumptions. Then challenges or problems, obstacles which are provoking innovative solutions. And then adversarial forces. Adversarial forces is external pressure, such as competition or conflict, which is stimulating critical analysis. So therefore, opposite team in this particular topic refers to these 3 points: differing perspectives, challenges or problems, and adversarial forces. Now going off topic, have a look at this paragraph. अब इस paragraph में candidate ने क्या लिखा है कि thinking एक fundamental human activity है. Okay, fine, that is shaping our human lives, perfectly fine. Now this candidate writes about in India, education plays a very important role in developing thinking skills. Then he talks about the NEP 2020, which is aiming to increase the gross enrollment ratio by 50%. Now this data absolutely correct. The data is absolutely correct. The data is not wrong. Absolutely correct. Fine, fine, perfectly fine. Now this candidate is trying to portray a data and therefore just writing one thing, promoting critical thinking among students. How is National Education Policy 2020, no matter whatever rosy data or factual data you're giving, how is it promoting critical thinking? How? The how part is still not addressed. Then he writes out, programs like Samagra Shiksha and midday meal schemes have improved the school enrollment, with 26 crore students enrolled in 2023. All right, you're giving again a very fancy data, very accurate data, fine. Digital education platforms like Diksha, they have further enhanced the learning, providing access to 5 lakh plus e-content resources. Again, then in this paragraph, he's talking about the startup ecosystem, whereby he's mentioning the data, correct data, 1 lakh startups. 1 lakh startups in 2023, fostering creativity, contributing, this much to the economy. But how? But what is the opposition over here? What is the game over here? What is the student fundamentally missing? Now, again, the student is deviating from the core theme. The essay is not talking about that, give me data on the NEP or on the startups or on this or that. You have to understand one thing, that if the NEP has come into existence, if the target is to increase the school enrollment, there has to be an opposing idea. What was the opposing idea which led to the formation of NEP 2020? After all, the NEP 2020 was the education policy for New India. Why did we need an education policy for New India? Understand one thing, that is the opposition. Not the opposition Congress UPA, that's not the opposition I'm talking about. But there were certainly things which were not good with the pre-existing education policy, which led the government of the day to come up with a new education policy. And there were some loopholes in the previous existing policies. And there was some criticism coming from the academic experts that there is a need to create a new education policy. Then within the new education policy, there might be their own critics. Those critics might be saying something that, look, why is this policy not good? So therefore, adding irrelevant details like the gross enrollment ratio, startup numbers, this and that is not going to help. That is still not helping us out in terms of telling, in terms of portraying that why is thinking as a game driven by opposition? What is the substantial evidence or what is the substantial content behind this thing? Still, so this is not relevant. Missing the metaphor. The candidate is ignoring the game, the analogy and the necessity of an opposite team, such as conflicting ideology or scientific rivalries or societal challenges, which are very, very central to the topic. Now, let me also give you some quick preparation tips as well. Number 1, please try to compile key facts. Create a concise notebook, or maybe on your laptop or on your iPad or whatever pad you have, a digital document जहाँ पे आपके पास statistics हैं, schemes हैं और examples हैं from your GS notes. All right. For example, let's say you're talking about cybersecurity, right? Let's say you're talking about cybersecurity. Now, there is a very famous data which says that India is short of around about 3 lakh trained cybersecurity professionals. The target was to have 5 lakh cybersecurity trained professionals by, in the National Cybersecurity Policy 2013, the target was to have this much figure by 2018. It is 2025, sir. We still have 3 lakh people. Now, therefore, this is a very important data which you already might have heard or might have known. I have taught this thing in the crash course of internal security and many other important data. So, therefore, what does smartness say? Smartness says कि भाई अगर हमको टीचर ने पढ़ाया है या अगर हमने खुद पढ़ा है, हमने अपने GS के सब्जेक्ट्स में, IR में, सिक्योरिटी में, पॉलिटी में, गवर्नेंस में, ज्योग्राफी में, वो डेटा सोशल इश्यूज में, वो डेटा मैं नोट करके रख लूं, वो डेटा मेरे को केवल सोसाइटी सिक्योरिटी यहां पे नहीं काम आने वाला, वो डेटा मेरे को एसए में भी काम आने वाला है. So be very smart in terms of compiling important data. That is very, very important. Then organize by themes. Now, group your content into buckets. Like this is the content which is very relevant for governance. For example, नीति आयोग के रिपोर्ट्स के अगर आपके पास कुछ नोट्स पड़े हैं, ठीक है, सोसाइटी रिलेटेड अगर आपके पास एनसीआरबी का क्राइम डेटा पड़ा हुआ है, देन इकोनॉमी के लिए आपके पास इकोनॉमिक सर्वे के हाइलाइट्स पड़े हुए हैं, अभी तक तो आपके पास होने चाहिए अगर आप एक सीरियस एस्पिरेंट हैं. या अगर हम एथिक्स की बात करें, कुछ आपके पास रियल लाइफ केस स्टडीज हैं. सो देयरफॉर ट्राई टू कंपाइल दैट डेटा, ट्राई टू ऑर्गेनाइज दैट डेटा इनटू डिफरेंट थीम्स सो दैट थिंग्स कैन बी मच इजियर फॉर यू व्हाइल यू आर ट्राइंग टू रिप्रोड्यूस कंटेंट इन द एसे. देन लिंक टू द एसे टॉपिक्स. फॉर ईच जीएस टॉपिक ब्रेनस्टॉर्म दैट हाउ इट कैन अप्लाई टू द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट और कंटेम्परेरी इशू. फॉर एग्जांपल, एनईपी का 2020 का फोकस केवल एजुकेशन पे नहीं है, लेकिन एनईपी 2020 का फोकस क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग के लिए इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है फॉर एजुकेशन रिलेटेड एसेज. The number 4, newspapers. Please, I sincerely hope that at least for 4 to 5 days in a week, you're reading a newspaper, the Hindu, the Indian Express. Please, that will give you a very nuanced view on governance, on society, on economy, on world affairs. Please understand one thing. I'm not asking you to make notes of the newspaper. That's a very time-consuming task. I'm trying to tell you that please be familiar. Please be very familiar with the current affair items. Please be very familiar with the news. Of course, you have your magazines. You have hundreds and hundreds of magazines, monthly magazines to follow. That is one thing. Understand the magazines are only a supplementary source. They complement your pre-existing knowledge. So you need to understand that you need to be very familiar with the contemporary and the current affairs, for which you need to spend at least 1 hour every day to read the newspaper. And the key arguments, whatever the key arguments you're reading in an editorial, in an article, try to just keep them in your mind. Maybe, you can't really note down each and everything in the newspaper. That is a very time-consuming task. But try to highlight and keep certain clippings in the digital format of certain arguments, important arguments. Let's say कुछ legislation के ऊपर बात हो रही है, technology के ऊपर बात हो रही है, data protection के बारे में बात हो रही है, data privacy के बारे में बात हो रही है, defense modernization के बारे में बात हो रही है. Try to keep those snippets. Try not only to read the arguments, but also the counter arguments related to the topic. And number 5, please do one thing. Please, very easily available, the summaries of the magazines. योजना, कुरुक्षेत्र, इनकी समरी बहुत इजीली अवेलेबल होती है. एंड योजना, कुरुक्षेत्र मैगजीन्स का जो थीम होता है, डेवलपमेंट, एग्रीकल्चर, एजुकेशन, रूरल इश्यूज, इसमें ना काफी इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा आपको मिल जाता है. समरीज डाउनलोड करनी है. पूरी मैगजीन मत पढ़ो, समरीज को डाउनलोड करो. एटलीस्ट January 2025 onwards. January 2025 onwards, try to compile the data. You can do that digitally as well. डाउनलोड करो, कहीं से भी आपको किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन से वो मिल जाती है, समरी मिल जाती है. वी डोंट प्रोवाइड दैट एनीमोर, वी यूज्ड टू प्रोवाइड दैट पहले. डाउनलोड दैट डेटा, ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स फ्रॉम दैट. एंड नंबर 6, प्लीज यूज रिपोर्ट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की रिपोर्ट आती है, वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की साइबर सिक्योरिटी रिपोर्ट आती है, चीफ इकोनॉमिक आउटलुक आती है, ग्लोबल रिस्क रिपोर्ट आती है. नाउ आई एम नॉट आस्किंग यू टू रीड द एंटायर रिपोर्ट. Read the entire report मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं. I'm not asking you to do that. Highlights. Please get highlights. Nowadays, AI, ChatGPT, all these apps can easily give you the highlights as well. Try to be very smart. You give a decent prompt to the ChatGPT or to the AI apps, that will give you a very beautiful curated content, absolutely free of cost. Right? So try to read the highlights. Try to understand that how you can incorporate important highlights of different and various reports, which will obviously help you to put more perspective and good authentic data in your essay exam. And number 7, please study thinkers as a part of your optional. I mean, if you have sociology, philosophy, political science, of course you will be reading thinkers. Of course you can read thinkers for your general studies as well, as far as the GS4 ethics paper is concerned. Some popular thinkers like Plato or Gandhi or Amartya Sen or Rabindranath Tagore. These are some very popular and common thinkers about which you can read. I mean, that will also only end up giving you more leverage for your ethics paper as well. And then reflect personally. Please, very, very important. Your personal opinion is also very important. Whatever personal insights you feel you are drawing after reading certain contributions of a thinker. Let's say you have very abstract themes, justice, freedom, poverty. How you can add originality in those themes using your content, perhaps your perspective which you have gained after reading various philosophers, various ideologies. So please try to add your own personal touch. Please try to add your own personal touch in your content, in your essays as well. That is very, very important. And please, last but not the least, practice PYQs. Of course, in our essay crash program, I will be providing you content and framework for the essays which have come from 2019 to 2024. Having said that, it is entirely your call if you want to practice those essays and get them evaluated from me. But please do practice the PYQs and make sure that you have gone through the entire content of the PYQs as well, so that you can get good pointers and good frameworks so that you can incorporate the same perhaps in the essays which will come in 2025. So this is all from my end, friends. I will see you very soon. I'll see you in the next lecture. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much.